So I wanted to record a quick episode. This one is a bear episode. It's with no processing, and I kind of wanted to talk about um the funny thing that happened to me is I've been buying all these plugins, right? And I had an issue because I was trying to figure out my EQ, and everybody knows how hard EQing is, and I couldn't figure it out. And I kept trying to say, okay, um, you know, something is not right here. So I went and bought Waves. I think it was Curves EQ, I believe. So I bought that and I tried it. It's a pretty good program, whatever. So I wasn't 100% happy with it. It was good, but it wasn't. It wasn't the. It wasn't the. It wasn't the. It wasn't the final type of polish. It was pretty good, but it wasn't. It wasn't that final polish that I was looking for. It was like 98% there. So I ended up uh, still kind of sitting up thinking and playing around with my EQs. One in particular, TDR Nova. So I went and got that, and I was talking to ChatGPT, and it was giving me some settings on it. Regular settings. Make a boost here or a cut here or high cut or high pass filter or whatever, that kind of thing. So I'm playing around, just looking at it and trying to figure out my EQ, and I kind of find, I don't know, it kindly just finally kind of dawned on me that when you're looking at an EQ, you're looking at the waveform, and that's your voice right there. So pretty much, you have on the left side, you should have a little lump all the way at the bottom, and that's usually the muddy stuff. So you take your high pass filter, you put it beyond that mud, then you go to the other side and you put your low pass filter right a 16th away from the wall of that waveform. So then you go in, you make you can Google it, but you kind of make a cut, in the mid or boost or whatever. And then, that's when you start to shape that waveform. And that's, when you get around, that's when you get around to, your voice sounding the way that you feel that it should sound. So it was pretty interesting because it was like afterwards I went back and I looked at the waveform, and it was like, the actual form was exactly the same. And I was like, oh man, I sat up here and I figured out the waveform, you know, just, messing around with this stuff on my own. And that was, to me, that was really interesting because it was like, wow, I figured this out on my own just through, um, persistency and just keeping at it and just not giving up, which is that's kind of me. That's kind of what I do at everything. I just don't give up until I figure it out. I did that with rideshare. I did it with a few other things. Did it with my health, and that's just me. That's just who I am. So, um, so after that, I everything kind of fell into place after that, and it was like I listened to my EQ, then I went to the waves curves and I listened to its EQs, because it gives you five different selections to work from. So I listened to those, and then it was like, wow, this is like this is like totally different than anything that 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 I thought that I could do. But it's amazing how you can do more than what you think you can do. So you have to kind of remember that, because it is really important. It really is, because that that's what makes you that's what makes you who you are, is because you can do things that a lot of people can't do. So that's really important, and I wanted to get that thought out for this episode, for this real quick episode. That I'm in this episode, I'm talking through my SM7DB by itself, no processing except for the mic preamp on my 528. And this time I'm going to use all plugins to process this episode. It's going to be my Shep's channel strip. I'm going to use that first. Well, probably, I'm thinking, yeah, I'll probably do the Chef's channel strip first, and then do a noise reduction after that, or I might do a noise reduction before, and that kind of thing. But I just want to do it and see how it sounds on my just doing all plugins instead of having the analog channel strip or the Rodecaster channel strip. So we'll see. Real quick, this last part is not this last part. I cut my de-esser, my expander and my compressor back on. So the last part, this is not ran. Well, it probably will be ran through my chain, but I just wanted to test this out to see how it would sound using just only plugins. I mean, and it did a pretty good job. It really did. I mean, it did better than I thought it would do. So, it's that just comes from not knowing, buying plug-in after plug-in after plug-in, thinking it's gonna fix, fix your problem. The plug-in doesn't fix your problem, so you buy another plug-in thinking that one's gonna fix it, and hey, you end up with a bunch of plug-ins. I mean, don't get me wrong, Waves, they have Waves that has very good plugins. I mean, they have very, very good plugins. Very good plugins. I would honestly, as far as I know right now, I would probably take them over was it Isotope or whatever? Isotope has some good ones, but me right now, I'm kind of a Waves fan right now. And for the price that they have, you can't beat it. Also, their plugins, for somebody who absolutely knows nothing about setting or trying to set it, or has no idea, what's going on, Waves plugins can get you to a place to where you're good. They can do that. So I'm not gonna knock their plugins. But if you're the kind of person like me and you're chasing after a certain sound, a sound that's enjoyable for your listeners, and something that's appealing to your ear, you know, because you got to remember, if you don't want to listen to your podcast, you know, it kind of it really makes you think how many other people are going to want to listen to your podcast. So, you keep putting stuff out though. Don't let me get that messed up. You keep putting stuff out because you're showing your viewers your process, and they can look through your catalog and see that you went through a process, and you kept going, you kept trying to figure it out, you kept trying to get things right, kept working on your sound and getting it better, and and you finally figured it out. Because one thing that people don't give enough credit for is uh, stuff you should think about. Great podcast, but I never knew that they had such a run with inconsistent sounds, inconsistent podcast sounds. But they didn't let that stop them. They kept going. So, that was very uh that was very motivational, because it shows you that your podcast is not about sound only. It's about what you have to say and what you're talking about, and what audience you appeal to. And that was, like I said, it was real motivational, and it just tells you, hey, I may not like the sound of my episodes right now, but I'm gonna keep publishing and keep, and keep working and keep pumping out episodes, and building a catalog and things of that nature. Because it takes a while to build it takes a while to build a podcast, but it's worth it in the end, because everybody that or you probably idol has been in the game for a long time. We're just starting to recognize them, and that's the main reason that we're flocking to their videos or whatever. But they were out long before that, and nobody was really giving them a lot of likes or whatever it takes. They weren't getting a lot of traction. So that's why we didn't see them, but they didn't stop. They kept going. So that's the important part. So, like I said, this episode is just me testing out a all processing done through plugins, and no analog channel strip, no digital channel strip, and things of that nature. So I wanted to test this out. So hope you all enjoyed it. Have a good one.